Smile is one of the best horror movies of the year.
Thank you.
And I want to read you a quote. Let us always meet each other with smile, for the smile is the beginning of love. Mother Teresa said that, and you are a genius because you turned one of the most warmest things in life, which is a smile, into a horror thing. And I know you have a short about that first before the movie. And I wanted to ask you about the idea of doing this genius thing.
Well, thank you very much. That's funny. You're the first one to quote Mother Teresa at me. With a smile, it's just like you said. I think it's sort of a universal symbol of friendliness, of warmth, of kindness. And I think there was an inherent strength to the contradiction that if I could take that sort of symbol and turn it on its head and make it the promise of a threat something that feels hateful and menacing and sort of just gleefully evil, that was really exciting. But I think the thing that was most intriguing to me was how we actually wear smiles in real life, or how we use them. I think that a lot of times a smile is actually a mask that we put on. I think like whether it can be something as small as like just trying to get out of like an awkward social encounter, or something that is a little uncomfortable, you might just smile your way through that. Or I think a lot of times we're all sort of walking around with these things that are bothering us, these guilts, traumas, anxieties, stresses, all these things from life, but we don't want everybody else to know that. So I think we wear a smile to sort of hide what's going on inside of us. And I wanted to, I love that idea of a smile as a mask. And I wanted to see if I could have the evil in the film literally wear a smile as a mask. Something about that felt just like really like deliciously frightening to me.
Yeah, it does. Besides all the horror elements in the movie, this supernatural element works as a metaphor, at least for me. And I guess you also wanted to talk about that, the metaphor of mental health and how people, if you start acting the opposite, then you are crazy and you are alienated from society. And that happens to Saucy Bacon character.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was all about that internal stuff that we're carrying around. I wanted to see if I could take that and bring in, this external, potentially supernatural thing and start like twisting the internal and the exterior and the external together, braiding them up, combining them until they're sort of like inseparable from one another, and it all becomes the same thing that's haunting her. With the Rose character that Saucy plays, to start the character in such a grounded, hopefully human, honest feeling place was really important to me, because she goes on such this extraordinary journey. And I think it's only by making her hopefully feel real at the beginning that the audience is willing to go on that journey with her and believe it.
You gave these interviews before the movie was released in movie theaters. And now I can talk to you about success, because with a low budget, you did this amazing thing. And now more people are going to see the movie at their homes. And I wanted to ask you about how you managed to optimize your resources behind the movie.
Whatever the budget you have is, there's never enough time, there's never enough money, there's never enough resources, of course, because I think it's a director's job to really punch above their budget weight class and to really stretch the envelope as much as possible. Here's the thing, like it's a very modestly budgeted film, but I'm incredibly lucky for what I was entrusted with for my first film by the studio. I recognize that like most first-time directors aren't given a budget to fully realize something. We all sort of had discussions about like what we wanted the movie to feel like and what we could do to achieve that, and then just really set ourselves on that path. Prep and production are sort of like a very crazy process. It's hard to distill down to one idea, but yeah.
And then enjoy it, because you deserve it.
Thanks.
When I started watching the movie, I thought about It Follows. That's one of my favorite movies too. And I saw an original script in your movie, but I also saw some similarities that I love, because I think that's what happens in life. You see something that you like, and then you turn into something different, and you can still build around that bit without having copyright issues or things like that.
As you aspire to be a writer or a director or any of these things, you certainly, I think you really start with your influences and all the stuff that you love as a filmmaker. So I love the film It Follows, but like going even like way further back than that, just like iconography from things like, Soul Survivor, for example, or, like the stories of M.R. James. And there was a love letter to sort of the like cursed chain film, things like certainly Ringu and stuff like that. But I wanted to tell like a unique like character story inside of that, and hopefully introduce a character that felt grounded and real and different than what we're expecting to see in one of these kinds of movies, and make sure that the character story was front and center.
And you managed to do that also because of your protagonist, right? Sosie Bacon is amazing. I saw her on 13 Reasons Why. And I guess, I don't know how easy or tricky was it for you to convince her?
Well, it was really great. I mean, it all started, when we were looking to cast that role, I knew that the whole film was going to hinge upon, the character of Rose. She's in almost every scene, and it's really, the film is so tied to her subjective. And so she's really the lens for the audience. When I first met with Sosie, I was really compelled by her as an actor. First and foremost, I had just watched Mare of Easttown, which I thought she was incredible in. And, but it was the conversation that we had and how she was talking about the script and thinking about the character, and also about the challenges that she was really eager and excited to take on, really spoke to me as to what I was, looking for in kind of a partner on this film. She's got this innate ability to really draw an audience in and ground them and make the audience empathize with the character, which was so important for the character of Rose, because she starts in such a hopefully a real, honest feeling place, that when she goes to these really extraordinary places, the audience goes right with her, right? They're along for the ride. A big part of that is in the casting, and then trusting in the people that you're casting, but also building a sense of trust between each other, and that Sosie could always look to me to make sure that the performance is being curated, and that there's a through line, because we're also, by the way, shooting the whole thing out of order, which like endlessly complicates everything, of course. But just making sure that there was always time spent to talk about where the character is right now, where she's just coming from, where she's going next.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask you if you can smile.
I'll do one if you do one.
Of course.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I don't want to smile on my interviews anymore. It can be so scary. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Really
Bye.
nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye.
I'm just really scared that something bad is going to happen.